Whereas the beautiful is limited, the sublime is limitless, so that the mind in the presence of the sublime, attempting to imagine what it cannot, has pain in the failure but pleasure in contemplating the immensity of the attempt. Feminine traits are called weaknesses. People joke about them, fools ridicule them, but reasonable persons see very well that those traits are just the tools for the management of men, and for the use of men for female designs. Give a man everything he wants, and at that moment everything is not everything. Beneficence is a duty. An appeal to the consent of the common sense of mankind cannot be allowed, for that is a witness whose authority depends merely upon rumor. Says Horace Quodcunc ostendis mehi sic incredulus odi. Sincerity is the indispensable ground of all conscientiousness, and by consequence of all heartfelt religion. Great minds think for themselves. The desire of a man for a woman is not directed at her because she is a human being, but because she is a woman. That she is a human being is of no concern to him. A philosophical attempt to work out a universal history according to a natural plan directed to achieving the civic union of the human race must be regarded as possible and, indeed, as contributing to this end of nature. Woman wants control, man self-control. Better the whole people perish than that injustice be done. Act in such a way that you will be worthy of being happy. If justice perishes, then it is no longer worthwhile for men to live upon the earth. Intuition and concepts constitute the elements of all our knowledge, so that neither concepts without an intuition in some way corresponding to them, nor intuition without concepts, can yield knowledge. No state at war with another state should engage in hostilities of such a kind as to render mutual confidence impossible when peace will have been made. It is by his activities and not by enjoyment that man feels he is alive. In idleness we not only feel that life is fleeting, but we also feel lifeless. The spirit of trade cannot coexist with war, and sooner or later this spirit dominates every people. The march of mathematics is pursued on a broad and magnificent highway, which the latest posterity shall frequent without fear of danger or impediment. For how is it possible, says that acute man, that when a concept is given me, I can go beyond it and connect with it another which is not contained in it in such a manner as if that latter necessarily belonged to the former? Dare to think. You only know me as you see me, not as I actually am. Beneficence is a duty, and he who frequently practices it and sees his benevolent intentions realized comes, at length, really to love him to whom he has done good. When the tremulous radiance of a summer night fills with twinkling stars and the moon itself is full, I am slowly drawn into a state of enhanced sensitivity made of friendship and disdain for the world and eternity. Innocence is indeed a glorious thing, only, on the other hand, it is very sad that it cannot well maintain itself and is easily seduced. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Maximum individuality within maximum community. It is presumed that there exists a great unity in nature, in respect of the adequacy of a single cause to account for many different kinds of consequences. The business of philosophy is not to give rules, but to analyze the private judgments of common reason. It is difficult for the isolated individual to work himself out of the immaturity which has become almost natural for him. Everything in nature acts in conformity with law. Ich soll niemals anders verfahren, als so, dass ich auch wollen können, mein Maxim soll ein allgemeines Gesetz werden. I ought never to act except in such a way that I can also will that my maxim should become a universal law. Human reason is by nature architectonic. Every beginning is in time, and every limit of extension in space. Space and time, however, exist in the world of sense only. Hence phenomena are only limited in the world conditionally. The world itself, however, is limited neither conditionally nor unconditionally. By a lie a man throws away and as it were annihilates his dignity as a man. The enjoyment of power inevitably corrupts the judgment of reason and perverts its liberty. It is therefore correct to say that the senses do not err, not because they always judge rightly, but because they do not judge at all. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. It is not without cause that men feel the burden of their existence, though they are themselves the cause of those burdens. Thinking in pictures precedes thinking in words. A great part, perhaps the greatest part, of the business of our reason consists in the analyzation of the conceptions which we already possess of objects. Maturity is having the courage to use one's own intelligence. In the mere concept of one thing it cannot be found any character of its existence. We ourselves introduce that order and regularity in the appearance which we entitle nature. We could never find them in appearances had we not ourselves, by the nature of our own mind, originally set them there. Three things tell a man his eyes, his friends, and his favorite quotes. Two things strike me dumb of the infinite starry heavens, and the sense of right and wrong in man. How things may be in themselves, without regard to the representations through which they affect us, is utterly beyond the sphere of our cognition. Why were a few, or a single one, made at all, if only to exist in order to be made eternally miserable, which is infinitely worse than non-existence? The yellow Indians do have a meager talent. The Negroes are far below them, and at the lowest point are a part of the American people. All natural capacities of a creature are destined to evolve completely to their natural end. The universal and lasting establishment of peace constitutes not merely a part, but the whole final purpose and end of the science of right as viewed within the limits of reason. True politics cannot take a single step without first paying homage to morals, and while politics itself is a difficult art, its combination with morals is no art at all, for morals cuts the Gordian knot which politics cannot solve as soon as the two are in conflict. If man makes himself a worm, he must not complain when he is trodden on. Prudence reproaches, conscience accuses. Physicians think they do a lot for a patient when they give his disease a name.